Hello.
Oh, I can unmute myself.
We just became co-hosts.
I did.
Let me close that door back there. It's kind of ugly. Here, hold on.
It's your library.
It's actually the stairs to our bedroom. This is our office, and then we finished our third floor years ago, and that's where all the books that we haven't given away yet, or we don't know what to do with, but have nowhere to go, so they live there.
Ongoing process.
Yes, I think that all the books will be given away right in time for us to be dead. So I think we've got many years ahead of us, hopefully.
That's right. And I keep getting new ones. I don't know. I got four or five. Hey, Taylor.
Hi, Taylor.
Good
We've got
evening.
John, we've got Nick, we've got Ian. I believe it's going to be a short meeting tonight, but that is the kiss of death. My wife, I said that to my wife, and she's like, "Oh God, don't say that."
Time
Um,
to watch a movie tonight.
exactly.
Yeah. Don't get our hopes up. Did you watch Idiocracy yet?
No, haven't yet.
Come on, Brian.
There's so many things we get a
Ha,
chance to.
ha, have you not seen it?
I know
No,
I couldn't believe you hadn't
Oh
seen
man,
it. I've seen it.
it's one of the better ones.
WinCam, I'll assume that you're ready for us. Thank you so much. I'd like to call to order the Tuesday, January 6th Planning Board meeting. We are doing this remotely via Zoom, as you
Recording
can tell.
in progress.
Thank you. And I'm going to go over the agenda, and I can't remember. I think we should do a roll call just because we're on Zoom. So the agenda, we have the first business item is subdivision for Loring Court. That's going to be postponed. We're not going to have that on our agenda today, and Taylor can explain. We are going to be reviewing Z-25-40B-1, which is Washington and Swanton. This is the 40B that the ZBA is in the process of reviewing. We have other business, board and staff updates, and then approval of minutes that you should all have had a chance to review. So with that, let's go around the table and just do a roll call. Just if you're present, just state your name and say you're present. Jack?
Jack Lemenachet here.
That's good. I don't know. Nick?
Present.
Scary?
Perry Layton, present.
John?
Oh,
John, you're muted, but I will acknowledge that you just said you were present. I could read lips.
Present. I'm sorry.
And I am also present, Brian Vernalia. So with that, we will move directly. We have no public hearing for the first time in a long time, which is quite lovely, I will say. So we're going to move directly into our business agenda. And I'm going to turn it immediately over to you, Taylor, to talk about why we're postponing. There's the agenda. Perfect. Why we are not going to be postponing the first business item.
I would really like to get this subdivision closed as the project has been completed, but we don't have all the necessary documents to complete or for the board to sign off on the subdivision legally. So we do need to wait another month in order to get those last few documents. If you're interested in the exact specifics, there is a easement on the subdivision so that the road stays private, but the water main retains the town responsibility, and we do not have the documentation to prove that. It is likely that it's just a mix-up due to this coming in during COVID, and it's either lost or wasn't done. So we just need to get that, and then we'll be all set.
Perfect. Thank you for staying on that. Unless there are any questions about that procedurally from anyone, I can't see hands, so just speak out if there's any procedural questions on that. Otherwise, we'll expect to hopefully see that next month, hopefully, ideally.
They have the certificate of occupancy.
Say again?
I'm good. They have their certificate. They're based.
I think you're breaking up a lot, but yeah, all three units have their COs. I believe they're residing in all three too. I think everything is done.
Okay.
From the houses.
I drove by. It looked good, but it was quiet.
Everything. People are living in the houses, and the road is complete. So,
right.
And it's met all of our standards. We just need that easement needs to be recorded in order for us to move forward.
Great.
Thank you. So with that, we'll move on to the next agenda item. So this is again for Z-25-40B-1, which is the Washington and Swanton 40B. This is a sort of a complicated little project because this is a 40B, so it doesn't necessarily follow all of our zoning codes. We have an option to make recommendations on anything we'd like to the ZBA, just like if it were a regular ZBA petition. If there was somebody putting in a retaining wall behind their house and they wanted us to opine on what we thought about it. Except it's harder because we can't really go and say, well, it follows all the zoning codes, so therefore you should approve it or we shouldn't approve it. So there's a lot of information in the packet. I sent out links to the entire body of work that's been done on this project. I'm not sure if any of you have seen or watched any of the meetings. They've been recorded, so I've watched them, so I have some knowledge of the project. So it's really up for us to decide if we want to look into the packet and learn more about this project, if we want to make recommendations on aspects of the project, the design, the streetscape, anything like that that we want to make recommendations on, knowing that this is truly our last chance. They will potentially be making a vote on the 14th on this project. So we sort of waited till the end because things kept on changing. So we're at the last, the 1 yard line, and it's our opportunity. So I open that up. First of all, do people want to have an opinion on this? I'm not saying you up or down. I'm just saying, do people want to have opinions on what they've seen looking through the packet, what they know about this project, or do they think we shouldn't have an opinion? I could go either way, but I wanted to give the board an opportunity to have this as a posted discussion item.
It just seems funny that this is our last chance because it's sort of our first chance. But be that as it may, it looks. I mean, I think it's in the hands of competent people, and it looks like it's. It looks kind of nice.
Yeah.
Brian, are you asking for an answer to that question now?
I'm opening this up. Unlike a normal ZBA petition where we would ultimately ask for a recommendation of favorable or unfavorable action, I guess I'm opening up. Do we want to have any opinion on this? And if we do have an opinion, do we want to start discussing it and look into the details? And so I guess that's my question to us all. I mean,
I have a question on page 40. There's a picture, and I'm wondering what that is.
Yeah, I was going to ask the same question, Nick, because the picture you showed, the two elevations you showed just a minute ago, Brian, they're different than this. And I think, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, that this was the first iteration, and that the design review committee weighed in and thought it was just, I forget what the words they used, but I think that the iteration that we saw a minute ago.
The words were trendy, I believe.
Yes.
It's amazing how it's like pulling teeth to get anything decent. The fact that this is what we started with.
But I think the newer version is somebody tell me if I'm wrong. I think the newer version that you showed a minute ago, Brian, that's a few pages earlier. You keep going. The elevations. I think that's the new one in response to the criticism that they heard. Right?
I believe it's the opposite.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is the original. You can see the dates, and on the ones you were showing earlier, they say September 2025.
Good catch, Ian.
Wait, what?
This was the original.
Ian is correct. This is the original. This is dated April 28th, 2025, and these are dated September 2025. Okay. So these are more up to date. So this is more in line with what the current version looks like.
Do we know?
Thank you, Ian.
Do we know what that material is?
I believe it's hardy board.
Okay. Carrie has a question.
Wait, what happened to the elevations that we had? I think, what's going on? What's this?
This appears to be the updated design.
Why? I mean, I'd like to move that we use the elevations that were shown. And this is the first time we're seeing this, and it's the last time we're seeing it.
It's complicated because they were changing it so frequently. There have been so many changes along the way. So it was sort of every time we'd get ready to say, well, let's have it at our next meeting, we were like, no, they're changing it again. So we didn't want to show you last week's version when they were coming back with something new. It's sort of, we were chasing what they were doing.
I think I'm hearing what Nick's saying. again, we're interrupting Carrie because she's patiently got her hand held, but
Sorry.
but
Let's let this play out.
I think that what that elevation from Swanton Street looks like something you'd see in Government Center. It just kind of.
I mean, it looks like
does.
to pardon my French, but it looks like a low-income housing project. I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Where are we have those elevations that were shown earlier. I would like to recommend that we use those.
I think what Brian is telling us is that is an earlier version that they moved on from. Is that correct? Or
I believe the September version has been moved on to since September, and I'm trying to find. I believe because when I saw I watched the meeting, and that did not look quite like that.
So there's something newer than this, you're saying?
Yes, that's why I sent out the packet. But the packet has hundreds of documents.
Oof.
Trying to find. I'm trying to find.
I mean, as I look through it, I see conflicts, and that I'm looking at page 56, and it has an auto exit on Swanton Street, on Washington Street, but some of the elevations, other drawings do not indicate that there is a garage door there.
My impression is that they're going to have both Washington and Swanton entrances.
Yeah, I mean, if
there's going to be one.
You look at
commercial.
They seem to conflict when you look at.
That's because I think they changed at some point. Yeah, I think Brian made a very good point. There's just.
I understand how we. I understand how we got here, and it's not.
We've gotten
changing so quickly. It was hard to know. So this one is, there's a Washington Street. So if you look at the elevations, where's that garage door? And then we can have other drawings where there doesn't appear to be parking there.
Yeah, I saw the same thing, John.
So I'm confused about which is the one that's up for approval, which is the final, the one that's up for approval, the final version.
On page 18, it shows both entrances.
Right.
Also on page 20. I'm scrolling at my own copy.
What we don't have is it's hard to know which one.
Both entrances are there. One is for the commercial spacing and one is for the residential spacing. So it was represented at the meeting that I attended.
Uh-huh. So
yeah, I was at the meeting in the spring as well, and so still waiting to hear from Carrie.
My comments sort of like a drift of where we've ended up. Now I'm looking through the ZBA's packet to see if it seems like they've gone back and forth fairly often with tool design. I don't know if anyone has. I'm trying to sort of get through. I mean, obviously, traffic at that corner is easy to complicate. So I'm trying to see if there's any context to be added from that. But they have come before the street tree committee and been very thoughtful about adjusting their planting plans to make sure that they're incorporating natives and retaining what they can for trees and making sure that we're working to improve what's a pretty sort of deforested part of the corridor. So as far as any interactions board members have had with it, I've seen them on that board and they've been lovely about it, so I can understand why the plan keeps changing. Does anybody know? I see the back and forth with tool, and I think they just leave it off as we'll keep monitoring it. Which doesn't seem that satisfactory.
I'm looking at the elevations that are shown on 52 and 53, and they do not show a Washington Street entrance.
Yeah, I was just looking. Yeah, page 52. It's not clearly not there. Yeah, it's
it's just,
and that is the 52 is dated September, and I think
yep,
we believe that's the one where we're looking, you know, that
That's
they're
the most
voting.
recent one in the folder.
Uh-huh.
It there was, you know, they presented stuff at their meeting, but it has to be in here if they're presenting it. And there's nothing newer than that. So I think we have to go that that's the most recent version. What else can we do?
Yeah, in light of the confusion, I don't think that we're in a position to make a recommendation one way or the other. Just my opinion.
Yeah, I would like to have the ZBA hear my opinion that I think the design should be the one that was originally presented to us on page 30. I don't know how to get that. I don't know how to get that opinion to them, but I would like I'd like them to. I don't understand. I feel like we have to hold their hand every step of the way, and it's just impossible.
So I agree that I think that's I agree with you, Nick. And I'm thinking, so my thinking is, Jack, we're going to send them just like we send for any other ZBA, with recommendations. And if the board agrees with Nick, that could be one of the recommendations. I mean, we can go in and look at what the DRC's recommendations were, and encourage them. I don't know the best way to put it, to make the building look good.
Huh.
I don't know if that's a good way of putting it, but you know what I mean.
I was going to say, do we have the recommendations from DRC handy?
We do. I have them on this computer and not on this. I have two different computers on, but they are in the folder that I sent out.
All right, let me go look. Because I think that's relevant, what they said.
I'm looking through all the documents here too. One thing to keep in mind is that this has been peer reviewed for design.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. They had.
So you have
Carlone
Dennis
Enthusiast.
Carlone did the peer review of the design, and the board has commented back on the design peer review. So the peer review has been reviewed back by the board.
Okay.
So
that's comforting.
It's quite long. It's 12 pages.
Yeah, isn't it?
But I'm not sure. I don't see any new plans dated after September.
No, neither do I.
I don't
thought
either.
there were, but
Nick,
I
I
don't
think the point you're trying to raise is point number 4 on the peer review, which says breakdown scale of facades to better fit surrounding context along the public way. Humanize the 250-foot long facade on Swanton Street and 9-foot drop in ground elevation. So I think it was raised by the peer review for design. And I agree, if the design changed that frequently, that we're just missing an update. But this is from the ZBA's site, so I don't know why it would be in their packet.
I just don't understand it all. I mean, it's like two different projects, and what I was led to believe that this was the page 30 elevations. And I don't know what to say. I mean, yeah, I mean, maybe yes. Comment 4 is that
The addresses massing building should be of a tripartite architectural configuration consisting of a base, middle, and expressive top.
And we've done that. That's been done. It's all been done on page 30. So I really don't understand. I don't, and I'm, yeah, I.
It could have been continued pending plans.
What does that mean?
Maybe they're getting an update on the design. There's a revision from September. Peer review, scope and fee. I mean, I guess no, that's not.
I guess 52 has, yeah, I mean,
Brian, which meeting did you attend? What was the date?
It was in December. It was
the 10th, maybe?
Probably the 10th, yeah. I attended online. I watched it on TV.
Okay, that would have been when they reviewed the design peer review
They did.
comments.
Yeah.
Do you remember how it ended? They leave off, we'll make changes and get back to you?
I mean, it's hard to tell when you're not at the table. It's hard to tell exactly what changes were made at all. He stated the recommendations, and they said thank you for
Okay.
stating the
So they
recommendations.
didn't leave it as, okay.
I mean, I think that it's fair to follow up with what you said, Nick, that we, in whatever we write, point number one could be something as simple as follow the recommendations of the design peer reviewer and break down the scale of the facades to better fit the context along the public way. If we're saying that as well as the peer reviewer, it just goes a little bit further, perhaps.
Yeah, I guess we could say that. I would like to reference the particular photo on page 30.
Yeah, we could
if that's possible to reference that within and to revert to that, which is what we were presented with when we made all of our other decisions on this project. We had this picture.
Yeah, we did.
And now it's nothing like this. So I don't know. I don't know what to say. I mean,
yeah, and I just I just went through the minutes of the available minutes online from Design Review Committee from 2025, and there's nothing in here about this. But there were a couple of months minutes that are missing, so they may have discussed.
Yeah,
it.
I was just looking at that too. They met about this in May, so it's my guess is they haven't even seen this either.
I would really like their opinion of this project.
I mean, do we have any control now? I mean, I would like to suggest that this isn't our last chance to review this. I don't know how much power we have on this project, but given the fact that it's a completely different project from what I can see, I don't think that it should be our last chance to have input on this. Or at least
so I agree. The reason I said it's potentially our last chance is that the clock runs out for how long from the application to approval to a vote, and that runs out sometime soon. Taylor, you told me when. I can't remember when. But
yeah, I mean, it being a 40B, there's a very strict timeline that the ZBA has to make their decision within. And that timeline means that they'll have to make their decision on the 14th. Now, they certainly could ask for an extension. They could do that. But this being a 40B, even with all the comments, the developer could also just say, thank you, but no thank you. This is what we're developing. And that's just kind of the risk of 40B.
I feel like it's sort of been the developer, it's sort of been a bait and switch. That's what given what I see in this packet that has been provided to me, I feel like it's been a bait and switch, and that we've been.
Was he responding to requests from the ZBA and other committees, or were they having problems economically making it work? I think my guess is that it's the latter, that they pulled it back and they needed to redesign it so that it worked it was more financially feasible for them. That was my impression. What do you think, Taylor?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do know that they've been meeting with the ZBA regularly. So, I mean, we know the people who have the answers. But I haven't been attending those meetings, so I don't know exactly how they have been going, and what has caused the updates over time. I don't know.
Well, to the extent we can, I mean, I guess it would be my desire that we're able to articulate my concern. I don't know whether it's a shared one, but that would be what I would like.
A motion.
I know I agree with that that concern. That the most recent plans aren't, for lack of a better word, aren't attractive.
I would say
there.
I would say there's
I don't know.
yeah,
Franny. I think we could just say the planning
No.
board would value the opportunity to weigh in on this project. We're not clear if we have the current materials. We are looking forward to answers to the questions raised by the consulting firm that did the peer review and the comments from the most recent review by the design review committee.
Are we allowed or not allowed, but are we able or would we want to say that we would like to use the design on page 30?
I think that
Or is that a
I mean,
non-starter? I mean,
you know,
The only thing
we
I
could
like
say
about
we would like you know, turn it into a four-building townhouse community. But it seems like they were moving, the peer review is moving it in a good direction. So they could have a design we haven't seen. So if we buy ourselves time to review that, that's something.
I don't know if we have that time. So I would like to, whatever I think we should count on, we have no more time. And if we do, and we can get something more, then great. And if we don't, we at least have sent something over to say something along the lines of what Nick has said, which I think is reasonable.
I mean, that's specific. I mean, if we have no more time, I'd like to make it a specific ask that's clear. And I don't know what they'll say. They'll say, oh, well, we can't do that because it's too expensive, but maybe that'll put some fire under them to, I guess, fix what we're currently looking at.
Do you want to make a motion, Nick?
I'd like to make a motion that the design revert to the elevations that were presented to the planning board on page XYZ of the packet.
Yeah.
You know, the only thing I don't like about those earlier drawings was the auto exit on Washington Street. That's to look at the elevations, that's been revised in the September.
Oh, okay.
drawings.
So, but keeping the
style
elimination. I guess if I can amend it to just keep the with the exception of eliminating the auto entrance on Washington Street, which we agree with, something like that.
I don't think the auto entrance is gone on Washington Street.
This is why this is.
I don't think it's gone. If you look up at page 65, there's an auto entrance on there for the commercial parking spaces.
It's definitely still there. I don't know why it's not presented. Nick also made a motion. We need to know if there's a second. And Nick, the exact plan that you're looking for is the plan for 4/28/25, presented on 4/28/25. That's the plan that you're looking for.
That's helpful, Taylor. So that would be included in the motion to revert to that plan. I would like to point them to the picture of whatever it is, to the extent that we can. All right, I guess that's the date, Taylor. I guess that's the best way to point them to that picture, is just to say it's 4. What was the date again?
4/28/25.
4/28/25. I'd like to move that we use the plan that was presented to us on 4/28/25.
Can I suggest
which is the one that we have been that we have believed would be the appearance of the building.
Just a slight off. Can I offer a slight alteration on that?
Yeah, great.
They were talking about the elevations. We're not talking about the plan, because the interior, the guts of the building have completely changed since April. So I think you're really referring to
the exterior design and elevations as of that date. I'd like to make that motion.
Okay.
Somebody want to second that?
Second.
So this is if we vote favorably on this would be one recommendation that we could make. Any discussion on that?
My concern with supporting that is that I don't know what led to the update. You know, we don't have, if the interior of the building has been completely changed, there could be points of the exterior that are like the windows could be off from where the units are at this point.
Yeah.
And so reverting to an old exterior without following the thread of how the interior evolved is sort of like it's just a neutral
But what if we
argument.
just
It's
say
not
the
helpful.
design of, the design of
I
the
mean, the color
428?
scheme. What do you mean by that? You're looking at
Well, we're looking at a sloped roof in all cases, that goes all the way back. Even though it's flat on top, it's sloped a little bit, so that from the ground it looks as sloped. And then there are the triangular pediments that are reminiscent of all the buildings, or many of the buildings in that neighborhood. There are cornices, about midway at the bottom of the first floor. At the bottom of the top floor, there are cornices, that add interest and create the style. I'm sure it's hardy board, but it looks like shingling in many places. And then there are the wooden, or the appearance of wooden, um, whatever it is, the railing. And there are posts that also, are reminiscent of that, kind of a front porch kind of thing. It looks like, I'm not sure, but it looks like under the triangle there might be a bay. It looks like there's a bay window under the triangle, on the far left, right-hand side, because the windows on the either side of it appear to be smaller. So it looks like that's bowed out. So I'm just looking for the look and feel. I mean, whether the windows are moved, that doesn't bother me.
Yeah, if I read you right, I think you're saying that you like this variegated look. This
Yeah, well, it looks like there are two bay windows, one
Yeah.
right above the parking, which is very contextual for Winchester and for New England. The cornices that have that curved, edge to them. It looks like there are even brackets that are under the bay windows at the bottom, right above parking, two wooden or fake wooden brackets, under both of those bay windows, with shingling. So the shingle style is brought in at the top level, clapboard. I mean, it is a little creative, but I think it does okay with the contextual, nature of that location, which the other really doesn't. I think the other just comes in and is completely different. So I guess it's more the style that I like. I mean, I don't know if I like those curved archways, but they're not horrible. They do okay. And I, so I think we got to a really kind of interesting place with this, and now it's gone. It's completely replaced.
Yeah.
Which I don't understand. So I don't know. I almost feel like whether we are able to get them to do it is, I mean, I would just like to make that recommendation.
Yeah, I think it's. Go ahead, Brian.
I was going to say, I think it's important whether or not they do it, that if we feel that that's a good recommendation, to make a recommendation. We never make our recommendations to ZBA counting on them doing anything we say. We make it because we think it's the right recommendation, and they can, in this case, they might not be able to take our recommendation at all. They might have no real authority to do so. I don't know, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't make the recommendation. So I'm sorry, I interrupted you, Jack.
I was going to say, I think the difference between, correct me if I'm wrong, Taylor, but I think the difference between this recommendation for a 40B versus, say, the usual ZBA review of a special permit is different in that when we give them recommendation on a special permit, which they choose to ignore, they have to explain why they're ignoring it, and where in this case they do not.
That's correct.
So, we're whistling in the wind, so to speak here. It's nice that we go on the record to say that we like this design better, but what's it going to buy us? I'm happy to, record the vote and send it to them, but it's not gonna.
Well, I mean, that's the only thing I think we can do at this point. I'm not aware of. I'd love other suggestions, but I kind of feel like this is a minimum.
Brian, correct me if I'm wrong. Early on, this is the back in the spring, didn't you make some comment that we had wanted to weigh in on this, and they didn't seem to be interested in our? Am I misremembering that?
It wasn't quite that. No, that was
overstating it.
That was something else in regards to something else.
Oh, I'm okay. I'm sorry.
No. I just conflating.
Strike the record. Strike the record.
So we have a motion and a second. Again, this is just to put into have Jack as our clerk put into writing this and send it over.
I guess we could take a roll call.
I mean, if anybody, that's what I'm waiting. If anybody else has any, I will take a roll call. Carrie, before I do that, you look like you.
Yeah, I will. I think that I will probably abstain from this one because I think without hearing what the group did with I think Dennis Carlone tried to move them in the direction of the changes that we're requesting, and I think I have too big a gap in knowledge, so I'm just giving a heads up so people aren't like, why did she do that? I will probably abstain because I don't feel like I don't feel like I have enough information to ask for a reversion without knowing if we even have a final copy.
Fair. With that, I will do a roll call vote. Nick?
Aye.
Jack?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Carrie?
I abstain.
Chair votes aye, so that would be 4-0-1. There were two small things that I learned when I went to the meeting that I also want to share because I think they are things that might matter to us or they might not. One is that originally there were going to be benches along the street to sort of making an inviting bench, streetscape, that those might be removed. And the argument was that those benches might be obstructing views into the commercial spaces. So therefore, they don't want a nice big fancy bench that makes it so that the commercial space is looking out on to the back of a large bench. I'm just saying what I learned. The other thing I learned was that the developer said that it was likely all of the commercial space would be rented out to non-retail uses. So that would be office space, dental, something like that. If we have an opinion on either of those for that location, I have opinions on both of those things, but I just wanted to throw those out there. They may have no say on either of those, but we certainly those things that the streetscape is something I know we care about. Making it an active streetscape with benches are definitely something that I would like to see there. And it sounded like they were being removed. And then we're not necessarily going to have any control over who decides to rent that space, though we could encourage that there be a mix of both non-retail and retail uses. It's a large amount of commercial space, and it'd be nice to see both something that activates the area and maybe a lawyer's office or something like that.
You make a very good point.
Or the dentist that's getting displaced from 10 Converse. Maybe they can just move across town. Really, they're already established in Winchester.
Not a terrible idea.
No,
I don't know if the timelines match quite well enough.
The original. I'm trying to remember what businesses were up there. There was the photo shop, there was a laundromat, there was a
Cumberland Farms
convenience store. What was the other one, Brian?
I said Cumberland Farms convenience store.
Cumberland Farms, right?
There was
and
a bank.
Those kinds of firms, those kinds of businesses are very helpful for a local community. That people live in that immediate area. They don't have to go all the way downtown to get a quart of milk or something. But do we want to go on record that we would encourage them to pursue retail tenants there, or is that not our role to do?
I don't have, I guess without studying the parking through that lens, I think it's a quiet residential area that gets a lot of traffic from the schools and a lot of people passing by, and I think that's actually an okay spot for offices.
I like the idea of Jack's thought of retail, coffee shop, something that makes a hub away from the center that serves the surrounding area and makes it walkable. We're talking so much about walkability, and especially if you're retired and you want to be able to walk down and get a jug of milk or something. I would support food retail and pharmacy retail.
Tacos.
Yeah, sure. I do have something else, but I'll just wait my turn.
Well, perhaps there's a motion, and if I
Oh, yeah.
if I can phrase it quickly, that the planning board would encourage that the commercial space lean toward retail services that can service the immediate neighborhood and the building tenants rather than office space. That's poorly phrased, but
I would yeah, I would kind of, yeah, I would support that. I guess I'd second it. You know, if that's what we need to move things along.
okay.
I think that's great. And the other thing I had mentioned is just make sure that, I mean, I think that would activate the street more than other things. Again, the removal of the bench just stood out to me when they said they were going to have this cool like bench in front of the, you know, that was going to be a carved, not carved, you know, like a big curved bench that was going to be there. And they're like, oh no, not going to do that anymore.
Was that on the sidewalk or was that on their private land?
It was on their private land. I don't know. That might not. That's a good question. That is a
because
good
if
question.
we have funding for streetscapes, that's something we could spend money on.
Yes, but they could spend it right now, and we could use that funding for something else.
I agree, but it's a fixable wrong.
Yeah.
So I'll fix the wording, but essentially what we're saying is that the planning board encourages the developer to use the commercial space for retail uses that would serve the needs of the immediate neighborhood and the building tenants. And it was seconded by Nick.
Roll call. Jack.
Aye.
Nick.
Aye.
John.
Aye.
Carrie.
Aye.
I vote aye as well, so that's unanimous. Do we want to have any more recommendations? Would we like, last thing before we go, took longer than I expected. Do we want to request an opportunity to re-review this with whatever the final plans are when they get them?
I think we should request it. And I think before we conclude this discussion, I would like to somehow, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'll wait for you to finish.
Oh, that was you went right where I was going. So
okay. Yeah, I would like to somehow call out Melanson and the developers, and you're going to have to help me to come up with the language that means that they gave us a bait and switch and they reamed us and they need to be held to account for future projects in Winchester. Because of what they've done here. And I think Melanson has to be called out. I'd like the record to state that somehow, that they've wronged the town of Winchester. And I'm livid. But I guess we don't have to say that. But I would like to say that future board members need to understand what they did, and that we need to hold them to account for any future business.
Could I propose?
Yeah, absolutely. I have no idea how to. I'm sure a lawyer would be able to do it in a better way than I could articulate. But
how about something along the lines of, because of the many varied changing designs and plans, it's difficult to properly review this proposal, which gets to the point that things have been changing, but says it may be a little bit more friendly, and that we would respectfully ask for a chance to review the final elevations when they're available.
Yeah, we should say that. But I mean, isn't retribution really in fashion these days?
You know, I don't know how. I'm kind of with Kerry. I don't know how we got from the version we all seem to prefer to the one dated September. You know, I read they have a note about the revisions, and I read through it carefully, and they detail what they changed, but they don't seem to mention why they changed it. It doesn't mention anywhere that in response to comments, you know, they decreased, I think, the footprint a little bit, and they increased the units a little bit. You know, some.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to have another opportunity to review this if that's possible. And I guess you know, but I don't know. I feel like we're kind of I don't like to feel this powerless, and I'm not happy with what they've done, what Melanson has done. I'm not happy with what they've done, and I don't feel great about it at all. So I guess I just want to ponder that and see what kind of recourse we could have. That's my thought.
Okay.
I don't think we know enough. We honestly don't know why these things have gone back and forth so many times. Whether it's something that the ZBA asked them to do, whether it was some legal issue, whether it was their financial constraints, we just don't know. I understand what you're saying, Nick. It's frustrating.
I mean, it feels like it's a group project, and we've just totally messed it up. You know, because there are too many hands in the pie, or for whatever reason. It just seems like it always comes out to this, and it's just very frustrating.
Or it got dragged out so long that the money got thinner.
That's right.
So,
if anybody would like to make a motion to add something into our letter that, again, I don't want to. If you want to make a motion of some sort, Nick, I won't stop you. Something along the lines of, because of the
yeah, I guess I like what you said. I like what you said, and I mean how you articulated the friendly version. Even though I feel my feelings are beyond that, but I feel like we should put something in there.
Would you like me to read that back?
Sure.
Because of the many varied changing designs and plans, it is difficult for the planning board to properly review this proposal, and we would respectfully ask that to review a final version when it is available.
Yeah. Do you want to move that, or do you want me to move it?
Can I suggest a slightly new direction? But if we're going to keep voting on the letter, I'll try to pack it all into one. It might be beneficial, kind of long term, for us as a board to begin to regularly comment on the streetscape of projects, because this is something. I mean, we really officially only kind of have tension points that we will have to address on North Main, but I think that was meant to be a model bylaw that will expand through town. So if we routinely have interface areas that the planning board would like to be part of, we may want to just comment on it on all projects, in which case we may want to add a section to the letter that specifically addresses, positive, we were happy with the response to comments made by the permanent street tree committee. The plantings look good, please add a bench. So I think it would be maybe a neutral result on this project, but beneficial for us as a board to get used to weighing in on it, so that when we have an outcome that we're really attached to, we're at least primed to be the authority on it.
I like everything you just said there, and
let's add it to the extent
let's add it. Let's add it. I don't know that we need to vote on that. That's
if we're amending the letter and then voting on the letter, I thought let's get it all in the letter.
Yeah. No, I agree. I appreciate that, Kerry.
Okay.
So, Jack, you have a lot of language there. would you like a motion to authorize you to summarize what we just said and put it in a letter and send it over?
Yeah, I'll share it with everybody,
Okay.
or just you and Taylor, or
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah, you guys can do it. I mean, I don't know what I can add at this point. I think I've made my
Yeah, normally
position
when I
clear.
these ZBA pass-alongs, Brian and Taylor review them before I submit them.
Yeah, that's good.
I would build out the bench comment from add a bench to this is a decent walking distance from the next area of respite. So for accessibility concerns, please consider adding a rest area included, such as a bench.
I agree. So do you need a motion, or are we just fine with, we've just represented everything we've done? Okay.
Yeah, and the letter includes 2 motions with
Yeah.
votes.
Yeah, you can put those votes.
Okay. Got
Thank
that.
you for doing that.
Sure.
And
Great, thanks.
I really appreciate you putting that all together. Knowing you probably do it by midnight tonight, but you can take till tomorrow. You don't have to do it tonight at midnight.
He'll say he's gonna put it off till morning. He won't.
I often get them at 11 o'clock at night, and I'm like, "What were you doing?" Like,
It's fresh in my mind. It's much better that way. That's the way I always write, when it's fresh in your mind.
So with that, we move on to the next agenda item, which is other business. I have I don't know whether it's update or other business, but I have a couple of things I wanted to bring up that I think we need to be deciding how to move forward on. The first is something that Carrie brought up a while ago, which is about when we want to do our reorganization for the board. This is not a posted discussion topic. It's just other business, so we're not going to vote on anything. But I'd sort of like to get a feeling. We have many options of how we can reorg. Typically, we've reorged, that is voted for chair, vice chair, clerk, and any committees right after the annual town election, which is in March. So usually the first meeting is in April. As Carrie eloquently said at a past meeting, it's sort of not the right time because you're handing over chair to someone else who's then got to carry things to the finish line as far as things on town meeting. So the question that I want to ask this board is, there are other ways we could do it. We could be doing it, we could stick with what we've done. It's tried and true and it works. We could look at reorganizing after town meeting. So that would be in June. We'd get through town meeting and then we do reorganization then. It's with the new board. Or the third option would be reorganizing somewhere early in the year, like January or February, where we reorg, we have a new chair and vice chair and clerk, and they carry things through the election. There's obviously pros and cons to all of those different ideas. And I'll just give my punchline. I think the worst possible one is what we actually do right now. But it is the one we do right now, and I realize inertia is pretty powerful. So Carrie had brought this up a while ago, and I wanted to, now that we're in January, we're getting to that time, I wanted to bring it back because I think it's something we need to discuss as a body, decide what we want to do. So I open it up if anybody has opinions on when we should be reorganizing and that sort of discussion.
I just had a quick question. Since we're talking about changes, are we still talking about doing a one meeting a month in the coming year with added meetings?
That's what we sort of kicked off.
And did we sort of straw poll it that we kind of like that idea?
I think we sort of did. I mean, everybody seemed to be generally on board with that as sort of a trial to see how it worked. One meeting and then adding a second meeting when we had public hearings gave us the advantage of not having every single meeting. We have other business like tonight.
Right.
We just spent an hour talking about Washington and Swanton. We would not have had that opportunity if we were just continuously in public hearing.
Right.
I mean, that's sort of where we went. We don't have to live with that. So that's
I like that. I think it's encouraging for the new year to have the thought of that. Try to get the business done, and then if we need extra meetings, we can.
So
But to your question, Brian,
Yeah.
I agree with you that the way we're doing it now it's the worst. There's advantage to either doing it early or late. I say that if you do it early, obviously the new chair has an opportunity to get their sea legs, so to speak, in time for town meeting, should we need to be in front of town meeting. But what the downside of that is that ostensibly there could be a new member or two coming aboard in March who will not have had the opportunity to vote on the new chair. That's why it might make more sense to do it in June, like the first meeting in June, because by then if there's a new member or two, they will have by then have a pretty good sense of who should be the chair and how the meetings are run, etc. So I'm kind of torn. I see the advantage of both, but I am concerned about somebody coming aboard and saying, "Oh, you're the chair. Who sets?
Well, how did we do it? How did we do it with Brian? I thought that was fine.
I voted on Brian. I voted for Brian.
thank you.
Wasn't that before?
That was
Wasn't that
my
that
first
before?
meeting. That was
I mean, whoever comes on will they'll have a future vote on that. I mean, we don't have to worry about
So
that.
we, yeah, we voted for Brian. Brian was going to do it. It was a 2-year term, right?
Check, please.
Yeah.
I'm not Diab.
I think he just made a 2-year commitment to the Lucia's Nights.
Right.
Left it open and shared.
Yeah, I was thinking the same. First
That's what I heard.
Too,
Yeah.
I most certainly did not say that. I will say
Oh, well.
I would have no problem if we decided to do chair elections sooner, and I would have no problem staying on after Springtown meeting. I'm open to either of those. So you can take that out of the equation as far as like, will he be offended if we kick him out early, or will he be mad if he has to stay on longer? I will do either one. So that shouldn't be on it should be what's the best process moving forward.
I hadn't thought of that.
I forgot when it was that we did it last year. When did you?
Right after the
election?
election. First meeting after the election.
Oh, the first meeting. Okay.
I would put out there that the 3 roles are kind of better timed differently. I think there's benefit for town meeting to see the same person twice, or in your case, 4 times. But I think the value of the vice chair and the clerk position is really obvious for new members. And so it's possible that what we move to is replacing the chair, and then we'll use January as the example because here we are. If we switched now, the new chair, so for us, we're not as swung by the budget. For schools, it's like they get through this massive budget. The fiscal year sort of drives quite a bit of the school committee decisions. The budget's like, we constantly joke we're a rounding error, and we're not that wrong about that. So I think we could bring, but the town meeting in spring is kind of consumed by the budget, and so transitioning the chair in January gives them time to weather the election, do spring town meeting, and then if we're bringing a big change, bring it to fall as the second time they've come before the body, and with kind of a time to do a long lap before fall town meeting. And then the election for clerk and vice chair could potentially be after the election to get some of the new folks to take over.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
That would be my thought on it, but it could work any of the 3 ways. I mean, it's a board that has to work together, and we hammer it out. But that would be my thought.
The thought, another possibility is to have the election say now, but that the person wouldn't assume the chairmanship until April or May, whatever. So that being that the opportunity to see how it sort of works side by side with the current chair, and the meetings with Taylor. I'm sure Taylor loved to have more bodies these
We
meetings.
love everyone. Well, I mean, there
Yeah.
are a lot of places use recent past chair as a position that holds some class. You know, I mean, it's on a 5-person board, it becomes comical because there's only like one lug nut that doesn't have a role. You know? And on a board this size, odds are good vice chair or clerk will become chair, and then who fills that spot?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it gets very strange in a 5-card deck, but
Yeah. But I think it's important that the chair, no matter when the chair takes the position, has some opportunity to sort of get accustomed to the job before they're just sort of thrown into it.
right. And that's kind of where my thought on this came from, is that I was thrown in December. So I took over vice chair for Sally Dale, and it wasn't because Sally wasn't doing a great job. It was because if the three of us had gotten together, we would have hit quorum. So she stepped back and I met with Diab, and then Diab and Taylor together regularly until we transitioned chair at the election. So we sort of had that on ramp, and I cannot imagine how that Springtown meeting would have gone if I didn't have that.
Yeah, that's a
mindset.
huge advantage. Yes, definitely.
It was a much easier launch than sort of being like, okay, Brian. I mean, I didn't disappear on him, and we didn't have a major point of legislation to bring up. But if we had, and we hadn't had that on ramp, it would have been a disaster.
But there's also the chance that a chair would be not run for reelection at the end of his or her
Yep.
term,
Totally
and then
fair.
you don't have that institutional knowledge.
You're killing me, Smalls.
So I feel like we just had the discussion that I've had in my head.
But
Come to a
without
conclusion.
resolution.
Yeah, there's no resolution. But I've had all these conversations in my head, very similar to what we just had.
Well, Jack brought up a point, or maybe I was already been said, but if you had a chair who wasn't running for re-election and we didn't elect a new chair until June,
That's
have a chair for 2 months.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, right,
Is that
right?
I mean, because I never thought about it before until Jack mentioned it, but to me, it always made some sense to do the election like the first meeting in June, because the presentation in front of town meeting would be the chair who had shepherded that work through. But if they are not, are in chair after the election in March, then that's odd.
Yeah, then you may want to elect a person who still has at least a year to go on their term.
Right, and even if you, maybe that's how it ended up doing it this way. Because if you elect them in January,
yeah, I mean, you could do. I think if you're folding in the next, yeah, I mean, the election could disrupt it, but I think you would want to plan for that. I mean, we wouldn't now look at, Nick or I for chair.
I think you'd both make great chairs, by the way.
You think, though, and you've seen me chair, so you're not sure.
Yeah, so I don't know if there's anything that we can come out of this. But
I suggest that if it's not offensive to you, if it's not something that sits badly with you, I suggest we consider noticing and creating a chair elect position at whatever meeting works for you.
I have no offense anyway. I want it to work. I'm thinking long term for the board, how to make it work best, not short term for me. I mean, I feel like I've been chair for 5 years this year, so I have had plenty. And I know you felt the same way last year, Carrie.
Every day of that, yes.
So
yeah, I mean, I will say that when I was liaison to the historical commission, that Jack made a fantastic chair on the historical commission, and I've
heard that.
I'm sure that he could do a fantastic job as chair of the planning board.
So are we thinking that we should, so based on the recommendations that I just heard, post to have elections sooner than later, but for a chair-elect who would then effectively take over?
Who would be planning to present to town meeting, who would, I mean, I think I think a chair-elect position could be the way that each chair and the chair-elect hammer out the months until town meeting, because it could be possible that you're so neck deep in an agenda item that it makes sense to see you over. You're not leaving, you're just done being chair. Like, I think leaving it open to negotiation is fine. So if we call it chair-elect, then at least that transition makes sense, but I don't know. I'm just throwing it, I'm spitballing it. It's not like I've been
I like
up months
spitballing 'cause
working
at
on
least
it.
it's a pathway towards some resolution.
Yeah.
Others like that idea. So theoretically, let's imagine it wasn't this year. We're not talking about us. We're just talking in generically. In January, we have an election for a chair-elect, and that could be the vice chair. Could not be the vice chair. It could be the sitting chair. The sitting, maybe the sitting chair wants to stay on for 2 years. And then that formal transition takes place after the spring election.
Yeah, I think that sounds fine.
I want to. I will take.
mean,
I don't. I think the only time I've ever held this position was the brief time between when it was handed off by Sally to when I became chair. So I would like to hear feedback from past vice chair. The vice chair position, I think, was created out of thin air because Sally and Diab were co-town planner, and she was doing so much, and it just helped to have a name around it. So I think as part, if we're reorging anyway, and we're redoing how we do things, and we will now have a January to call it April-ish. When is Springtown meeting? I should know that after all these years.
End of April into early May.
Okay, so we'll have 5 months of a chair and a chair-elect. Is it still valuable to have a vice chair, or should it just be chair and clerk and 5 months of a chair-elect?
Well, the clerk kind of is the vice chair, aren't they?
No, we have two distinct. Right now, we have 3 positions. That's what I mean. You and I are the log nuts.
I suppose if someone, I don't know.
So then post-election, we would figure out who the clerk would be. So in this, in this hypothetical, we could have the clerk elected to chair, and then the clerk is up for grabs.
Taylor, you have your hand raised, and I want to.
You're just going to potentially run into a quorum issue if you're going to be planning to have this kind of cooperative thing between the chair and the chair-elect. The vice chair then can't be involved.
Why I think vice chair might be a position that we eliminate. I mean, it was sort of it was sort of an emergency position creation.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we can always bring it back if we're swamped again, but maybe we just have it as something in our back pocket, perhaps.
Okay. So let me repeat what I've heard as an idea and see if people agree with this as something to do at our next meeting. That we would have an election for a chair-elect, and we would potentially eliminate the vice chair position, because it's actually not in any statute that we have a vice chair.
Right. I would agree with
that. The chair-elect would serve as chair-elect until the new town-wide election, at which time they would become the chair, and we would simply have a chair and a clerk until the following January, when we would vote a new chair-elect.
That makes sense to me.
You would have to do clerk-elect as well. You would have to do clerk-elect as well, because if the clerk gets elected chair, you would need to you would need to replace them. So you would need to do both.
Like the street tree committee just decided to just raise your hand at the start of the meeting if you want to clerk the meeting. It's not as clean here because we have to hand off a legal document, so it's not like we can just hand it around. But I feel better about having a clerk position that changes after the election.
But I became clerk on day one, my first day of, and I was writing those after the first meeting. And Jack did the same. So I feel like that is easier to hand off on after the election. But you're right, we have to have both. Okay, so let's plan on that at our next meeting. at our next. We'll decide whether it won't be at our special meeting. It'll be the first meeting in February.
And if any of the
Sounds
parties
great.
involved, because I am a lug nut in this situation, are like, feel free to abandon it. Like, this is not meant to be a judgment on anything. It's just, this is like a
No, this is
opportunity.
I think it's an opportunity to streamline how we go, and I think that makes sense. So, count on that in February at our
Good.
next meeting.
Not at the next meeting after the public hearing?
Well, I don't think we want to do that at the public hearing, because the next thing I'm going to say is I want to ask, we cannot talk about the content of the public hearing, but I do want to ask the committee a question about public comment at the next public hearing. And I have a proposal that I think will allow as many people to speak, but also allow us to get our work done, which is that I'd like to propose that at our next meeting, our public hearing, we discuss and debate until a time certain, which I would say is either 8:30 or 9, and then we allow 1/2 hour of public comment at the end of the meeting. It was clear that there's opinions on whether the public comment should be at the beginning of the meeting or the end of the meeting. There's all sorts of different opinions. This would just be a way to allow us to actually get some work done and allow the public to know that they will have an opportunity to speak, so that we don't go on, we say we're going to do our deliberation of the site plan review, for instance, until 8:30 or 9, and then we're going to allow public comment for a half an hour or whatever. I just didn't like that the last meeting we got very little done, and I appreciate the public comment, but we also do have to actually do the work. So I just wanted to throw that out as an idea, and that would be why I would say that we didn't do this at the next meeting. I think at the next meeting, it's going to be a long meeting. Those public hearings are long, and I just assume not spend, then have to feel rushed. We felt rushed after our last public hearing. There were other things I wanted to get done, and we were unable to do it. So, so thoughts?
Sounds good.
Are we voting, and do we need to hear the public's comments before we vote? It almost seems like we're not ready to, but and are we going to be discussing amongst ourselves for an hour and a half? That's long without being in response to something. But I guess overall, having time certain sounds like a good strategy to me, and kind of reining it in a little bit sounds like a admirable goal.
I think it's a good idea, and I think the format, to the point of like, are we voting, like, what are we doing at it? I think we may want to get more prescriptive about what we will cover in the meeting, and so it might be sort of like, we're reviewing parking, open space, and entrances, and so people know which comments, they can't just come and be like, the height, they have to have comments on those 3 things. We have to move through all of that material with the list of hopefully asks ahead of time.
Oh, right. Okay. So there is material that we need to move through. So maybe that makes sense. I support that then.
So that would narrow the public. Say if you're not if you don't have a comment on one of these topics, please don't comment.
One other thing is, I think we need to put a deadline on materials from them. Like, if we don't have it by, we did this at some point with Concom. If we don't have materials by Friday, they're not considered at the Tuesday meeting. So, we've
done that. If we didn't get it by today, it's not being considered at next week.
Are we seeing it in the packet, or is it like not in front of us?
Well, it's not in our packet because it's for next week.
Okay.
It's if Taylor didn't get it by today, it won't be included. It won't be considered by the board or in the packet for next week.
Okay.
We put the hammer down on them. So
okay. Great.
Yeah.
So if we don't receive anything from them, then what's the point of the meeting?
We did receive stuff.
Oh, we did. Okay,
yeah.
Good.
It's just not in our packet because it's.
I understand. I didn't know. I wasn't clear. I gotcha.
Yeah, we did. So that makes sense. And then the last thing I just want to quickly mention, these are just the other business, is we should expect to have someone from our new town council at our meeting next week.
Excellent.
I want to be careful with using my words. I'm excited, and I think that we should be. I think we should also be looking in long term of whether we want to be hiring our own counsel moving forward. Not for this project. Probably not. I mean, the amount of money, it's unclear, but it's something that, we've been talking about for a while. And certainly with the transition, it's between town councils. It's made it clear that it's very complicated when we're at the will of the select board's choice of town councils, and we don't have as much access, especially during the transition, which was when we needed them the most. And we've really not had a lot of help so far. So two things: one, we should expect town council at the next meeting, and two, we should talk about whether we want to have our own council at some point in the future.
Can you comment on the land use experience of our current town council?
I cannot.
You don't know.
I'm trying to be careful here. My interactions have been extraordinarily limited, and that's not for lack of. It's not for lack of trying.
I think it's critical that you say not this project, but I think they would be very helpful as we go through the site plan review and special permit, going through that list, ticking off each item, and to have that guidance.
Yeah.
We've named a number of legal, the covenant and the open space, agreements, and there are issues that we're going to absolutely need legal guidance on.
So I misspoke then. I didn't mean we wouldn't need legal counsel for this. I meant we don't have money to hire outside legal counsel.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Now.
We
definitely need legal counsel. It's just going to be in-house is not the right word. It's going to be our town legal counsel. There's no way we could put things together to hire outside counsel for the planning board in time to be useful for this project.
Gotcha.
And we don't have the money.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Okay.
Those are the updates.
Thanks for the update.
Those are the updates I have.
I have a quick item
of other business. I guess was sort of. I don't. We can go. Anybody else has other business or
yes.
updates? I don't.
Quick item. I shared it with you, but the Saturday I'm looking at November. Great. I got to change my calendar. I think it's the 10th is a Saturday, is the deadline for the next edition of the TMMA bulletin. Brian doesn't think we have anything. Does anybody think we have anything? I only had one stray thought. Does anybody have an idea for something for the town meeting member association? For the little 100-word blurb?
I think I took the last one, so I'm ducking out of this one.
I just had an idea that to draw people's attention to the stakes that were put out on Congress Place.
I love that. Yes.
Okay, I'll do that.
And have them push it to their precinct people. Do you need to explain what you're saying, or does everybody know what Jack's talking about?
I know.
For the folks following along at home, our millions of viewers on WinCam.
Okay, the applicant had their surveyor stake out the property at Converse Place. Was it yesterday, Taylor?
Day or two
and
ago.
2 days ago, and with the to show the extent of the footprint.
Yeah.
And also on the parking lot, there are orange lines drawn where you can see where the corners turn. The part of the building that is not marked is hidden underneath the existing building. It's
but there's even a marker. There's an indentation in the current building footprint along the river side, and there is a marker in the middle of that will show you how far back the building would be scooted from the current footprint.
About 4 or 5 feet in.
Yeah.
And then there are markers down Converse Place as well. So it gives you a good sense of the layout of the property. So I will write up something quickly and share it with you all. I don't know, 11 o'clock tonight.
11:30. You need time after you finish.
You got to finish the first thing, yeah.
I expect it to be exactly 100 words. Don't break the record.
I got to have a couple glasses of wine to make it work. So
well, that's good.
Your technique revealed.
Oh, here. Did I ever show you this?
All right, your hands revealed.
That's
now
allegedly that was allegedly from Ernest Hemingway. He's my hero.
That tracks. That tracks. Although I can't imagine he's alone in that technique.
No. So I'll do that. That's all I had.
We put a lot of work on you tonight, Jack. Thank you.
That's okay.
Taylor, do you have any other business or updates?
I don't believe so. No.
Okay. Carrie, John, Nick, any other business or updates?
I don't think so.
Okay. We'll be meeting 1 week from tonight. We will, while it will be simply the single agenda item for the public hearing, probably put other business on there too, just in case there's something else that we need to do. But we will not put the election on that night. That will be the first meeting in February. Which leads us to minutes. I believe is the next. We did updates and committee updates, so that brings us to minutes. I've lost my agenda. Everybody have a chance to review the minutes?
Mm-hmm.
I would welcome a motion to approve them all at once.
I move to approve the minutes of July 8th, October 21st, December 2nd, and December 16th of 2025.
Thank you.
As amended by Jack.
Once Jack reads it, I'm always happy. I'm like, okay, they're good now.
Yeah.
Is there a second on that?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay.
Whatever funkiness happened before is resolved, which I'm happy to see.
Yeah.
A roll call vote. Carrie?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Jack?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Vote is unanimous. Thank you, everyone who put a hand into making those minutes what they finally became. Thank you. And with that, I would, unless there's any last thing that want to do under other business, I would welcome a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. John?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Carrie?
Aye.
Jack?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you, everyone. Good night. Thank you, WinCam. Appreciate it.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Record.